A warm, pleasant, and blessed greeting to you. This is Rayne Jaggrevade speaking, and I welcome you back, or I welcome you for the first time to my YouTube channel where we are having these discussions about things, aspects, and principles that can actually help you grow as an individual. So today is going to be a bit of a different video, right? Because it is kind of like a follow-up to that video where I was talking about SMART goals, 5 reasons why you are setting yourself up for a lack of desired success in the lines of pursuing your goals and pursuing whatever it is that you want to pursue. Okay, and today is Saturday the 6th of December, and we just had a workshop where we were actually discussing that and going a bit into like deeper detail and getting a bit more practical with it and actually showing someone how he can actually take his goals and then apply this whole SMART criteria and the what, the why, the how, the what, the how, the why blueprints to that in order to optimize chances of him actually succeeding. This was only for him, but it was also for everyone else that was there. Okay. But then what then happened is that we didn't manage to capture the first bit of the video because we were kind of like pushed for time. So a lot of the stuff was kind of done in a rush. Okay. Then so I'm going to take you to the session and then you just enjoy the video, enjoy what we did there. And then towards the end of the session, you're going to come back to me right here in my solo version of me because we didn't manage to capture the last bit of it due to technical glitches. So I've decided to finish it off with a solo version, a one-on-one camera thing as I'm doing right now. Okay, so, right, enjoy the show. Does anyone here have a goal already for 2026 specifically? You do? Anyone else? Jones? You also do? Anyone else? My guys already have one. I think I might have an idea what yours is. Okay. Yeah, cheers. How can you not? Okay, you're not. Okay. For everyone that's got a goal already, can I have a volunteer from you guys? Anyone that's willing to share what their goal is and is willing to let us help them achieve their goal? 7. Okay. All right, 7. You can come. You come take a seat in the front. Yeah, we're changing your station. You're now the executive. You are now the host. Yeah. Purple man.
Yeah.
Green or red?
Yeah. In tight.
Green or red?
Green or red?
Yeah, green or red colors?
Red.
Red.
Yeah. Danger.
Okay, it's fine. Okay. So Steven, what I want you to do, is I want you to write down what your goal is in that book.
Okay.
Yeah, don't tell us, just write it down for now while we continue discussing with these guys. Okay. So right now, don't pay attention to what we're saying. You pay attention to today. Same way you're doing deep rest, don't listen to the noises outside. Right now, focus on just that.
Okay.
And then just write down your goal. Don't worry about what these guys are saying. Okay, everyone else, let's ignore this guy. Doesn't matter, like I said. Okay, I'm just kidding. Right, so do you guys see what this is? What does this look like? Yeah, Jones? Christmas box. Yes, we are giving you a Christmas box today. That's what we're going to do. Okay. And what do you do when you're preparing a gift? What do you do? How do you prepare for a gift? Anyone? There's no right or wrong answer in this session. It's just a discussion. You guys have never given in on a gift. She answered like me, should be like very detailed. Okay, so for the sake of time, let's just cruise through this. So confirm for a gift, you get the contents of the gift first. And then after you get the contents, then you get a gift bag, and then you put the contents in the gift bag, then it becomes like this. Does that make sense, or am I talking like ancient Roman? Are we all in agreement of that? Okay, make sense? Right, so that's fine. So today we're going to be uncovering, everyone's going to have a Christmas box by the end of this, if you get this correctly, right? Yeah, so that's fine. So goal setting now. Can I have one person just tell me what they think a goal is? This is more straightforward. Any definition of what you think a goal is, or what you believe a goal is? There's no right or wrong answer. Jones, you wanna? Jones, like, let me go. Yes, Jones.
Achieving your plans or
Achieving. You have the mic.
Oh, I have the mic.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
I know he doesn't need the mic. This one doesn't need the mic.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us again, Jones. Very quickly.
A goal is like it's like achieving your plan or achieving a dream.
A dream. Okay, there we go. Are we all in agreement? Do we kind of align with that? Yeah, Cheers, wants to say something? Yes?
Goal is like a target that you're aiming.
A target that you're aiming for. Okay, all in agreement? Do you believe that Jones and Cheers are kind of like in the same direction? We're all more or less getting the gist of it. Okay, that's fine. Why do people set goals? Yes, Cheers again. Cheers has a lot to say today. Okay.
To get a direction where you want to go. Because if you don't have a goal, you won't know where you're going. So the reason of getting a goal is to set the direction in which you want to move your life. Or
Set that direction.
your job or whatever it is that you're setting a goal.
Okay, nice. Okay, thank you, Chieza. Okay, so along those lines, I actually agree with what Chieza is saying. And did you know? Does anyone know Michael Jackson? Anyone knows Michael Jackson? Yes. No. You guys, musicians. You guys know? You don't know who that is? So this guy that I think he might have passed away in 2008. Is that correct? According to history. 2008, yeah. So this guy became like very famous, became like legendary of like the music industry. That's what I was told. I even danced to his music, but so I don't know. So okay, Michael Jackson. Do we all believe that he became legendary? Like, is his legendary status? I just recently discovered that he wrote down to himself that he was going to become a legend. So he set a goal in line with what she's saying. Set a target for which you could then going to take it as a direction towards your life, towards where you want your direction, your life to go, in which direction you want your life to go, right? So we're in agreement with that. So do you see to what extent you can actually achieve something of significance if you just set a goal? Just write it down. Take a piece of paper, write it down. He wrote a letter to himself. He didn't do like a goal or anything, but he wrote a letter to himself. I'm going to become this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And for sure, by the time I got to 2008, people literally died because of him. Literally. That's how legendary it became. I'm not saying you guys go kill people. But anyway, you get the idea. Now, resolution. You know knows what a resolution is? Funny enough, I only found out this year what a resolution is, even though I was doing it. Resolution? Any idea? Anyone? My goals. Okay, so resolution is this idea where you set a goal or a mandate at the beginning of a year. So like 1st of January 2026, you write it down like, by this year, by the end of this year, I should achieve this and that. That's a resolution. At least that's what I was told it was, but let's pretend, even if it isn't, let's pretend that's what it is for the sake of today, right? So those are resolutions, okay? Any one more last person to just tell me how they go about setting goals? Someone that's not Chieza. Chieza's really contributed a lot. Generally how they go about setting goals. What do you do? Just like a short, brief blueprint of how they do it. We're about to find out how Panache does it, but anyway. Anyone? Chieza wants to say, okay, let's give it back to Chieza. Chieza, okay. We should give you two Christmas boxes today.
So normally when I come up with goals,
yeah.
I brainstorm what it is.
You brainstorm.
Yeah, I just figure out what is it that I want for my life. Brainstorm all the things that I think are things that I would want. And then I narrow it down. I start looking at, is this realistic or is this just? And then you narrow it down first round, and then you look at, so which ones, what can I say? There's some things that you can achieve, but do you really want to?
Okay.
Is it for me or is it for my family or is it for people outside? So that's another angle to it. And then you narrow down again, and then you focus on the things that you really want to do. And then from there, you make a goal out of the things that are remaining, the few things that are remaining.
Nice. I think Chieza and I think are like, okay, that's everyone in agreement? You're not just saying because I said I agree with Chieza and I happen to be the host. Okay. Because this class for you guys. I've really done this stuff. This is for you guys. Yeah? Okay, so we're all in agreement. we're all... What's up? Oh, okay. All right. So, has anyone ever, just by raise of hands, has anyone ever set a goal at the beginning of the year and then come back to the following year and then find themselves setting the same goals again? By raise of hands, has anyone ever done that? You guys haven't. Sweetie, you haven't. You've never done that before. Uh-huh.
I don't usually do
Mm. Okay.
that.
Mm.
I set my goals as I go.
As you go.
As I go.
Okay.
That this year I want to do.
Okay, set as you go.
Even if it's today, it's 2 August, I set my goal. For the next 2 months, I want to do.
Okay.
It aside for one chapter.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right. Yeah, that's actually great. So if you notice so this workshop we just amplify what you already know. So I call it the last resolutions because I got tired of this idea where by 2023 I set a certain set of goals and then I just get distracted and move on to go for other things. 2024 come back, look at my draft board, check, okay, what did I take? What did I take? I was like, I didn't get to do this. I come back to the same thing for 2024. 2025, this year, which I actually did again, I was like, let me actually say, I didn't get to achieve this and that. There's still this, there's still that. I went back, wrote down the same goals. Okay? So you guys are familiar with that, or to some extent, once or twice. Okay, there we go. So this is why I called it the last resolution, because after today, this should be the last time that happens. And I found the reasons why that happens. Okay, so I'm going to share it with you guys. That's what we're going to get into. So by the end of this workshop, you're going to practically learn how to remodel the way you set goals to optimize success. Because, this whole idea of rewriting the same goals just means that you're not actually getting what you want. Number 2, we're going to learn and understand why you haven't achieved the goals that you already have, even if it's not at the beginning of the year. And guess what? I found out? The reason why you haven't achieved some of your goals is actually not procrastination. Yeah, I know. That hit hard when I found out, but it's not procrastination. You find out why. And then by the end of this, you should be able to see 2026 and all other years in a different light from now on, in terms of like success and directing yourself towards success. Okay? And then to explain the context of this workshop, this is along the lines of personal growth. Okay? So setting goals for your own personal growth. So in line with what Chiesa said earlier, is it like really what I want, or is it for someone else? We're doing this for you. So in your context, it's in the lines of what I want, as in I meaning you guys. All right. So it's not to set a goal for someone else, because you find that for someone else to achieve a goal that you set, you're just going to be running around in circles. Okay. Because it takes much longer to change someone else than it does to change yourself. Okay. So this is the context of this is personal growth, and personal growth in the sense that does not negatively impact another person. Okay. So for example, if your goal is to have more money by the end of 2026, okay. Yes, you can do that by going into someone else's wallet, taking some dollar notes and etc., taking some $10 notes, $100 notes, and then by the end you have more money than you did. But then what that does on the flip side is that it negatively impacts the person on the other end, the owner of the wallet. So that's not the context of this class. The context is it should grow you in a positive light, and if anyone else is involved, it should grow them in a positive light as well. It should impact them at least positively. Does that make sense so far? If I'm going too fast, just slow me down, just for the sake of time, okay? And I want to share a lot with you guys, but then I just realized we don't have much time. But anyway, I'll send you another video that's on YouTube right now in terms of like complete breakdown of what we're going to talk about today. Today we're just summarizing, more or less, okay? All right? So what goals are, what I believe a goal is that it's not actually a wish list. Because a lot of the times people set goals. Let me be a bit drastic about this. It's just because that's the idea that came to my mind. Let's say your goal is... Manager's going to laugh at me about this. Okay, let's say your goal is to be in a relationship with someone. Maybe you have a crush. Yeah, let's do that. Because if I do that, then I know you guys are paying attention. Okay, the goal is to start dating your crush or something like that. So as people say, okay, I want to be in a relationship with this person. And then they think that that's a goal. but that's actually not a goal. It's you agree, right? It's a wish. It's not a goal, because what you haven't done is you haven't set the steps of how are you going to do it. How are you then going to, I'm not going to give you a masterclass on how to ask people how, that's not my area of expertise. Okay, so I'm just giving you an example. So the idea is that, let's come back to the idea of money. Okay, you want to get more money. People usually have this, especially in Zim, where it's like, I'm a one more, you ask people, I'm a one, balance, and stuff like that. Okay, so now you say, by the end of the year, I should have this amount of money, but then you don't map out how you're going to do it. So the goal is in the how. So your goal is actually a derivative from your values. So it's values first, okay? Yeah, that's what I have to. Okay? So this is where your goals come from. If your goals don't come from this, you're going to be just going around in the wind, because people usually make a wish list and they think that they're actually writing a goal, right? So your goal is derived from that, okay? So it's first the value. So you determine what your value is. Don't change anything there. Don't change anything, okay? Because we're going to need that. So it's so for now, if you want to have a better angle, you can come back to take your seat. It's fine. So that if you want to write notes, and now you've got somewhere to write your notes on. This is the part where I stand up now. So as long as your goal is not derived from your current values, because values also change, which will make sense. Okay, so it's actually current values. Because you find that what you valued as a child is not the same thing as what you value now. Back in the day, because I've been setting goals since I was a kid. That's how drastic it is. My goals were, by the time I get to Christmas, my dad should have bought me a flying airplane with a remote control. Obviously, that's not my value right now. Okay, so you get the idea. Your values do change. So if you set your values today, right, and then you go set your goals, then you think that you're going to apply this until 2035, you find that you might just keep yourself in a loop trap. Okay, because your values would have changed, and then you're thinking that your goals should just be the same because your values didn't change. Okay, so your goal is a derivative of values. This is the most important thing that you should get today. This I could summarize. We could end the workshop right here. Okay, but anyway, so this is the what. In another sense, this is the what. Okay, and then this is then the how. Okay, so that's the idea. Goals come down from there. Okay, right. So you determine what your current values are. Okay, and then you come down to your goal. You find out how it is that you want to get to the what. Okay, so that's more or less the idea. It's value and then the goal, and then you can use that to just swap over for it to make sense. Okay, but always remember it's your current value. So you always have to check what your current value is. Okay, what do I value right now? What do I value right now? What do I value right now? Whether it's today, 10 years from now, keep checking that, because values do change because we all grow. Okay, otherwise, if your values don't change, I don't know. You must be living in paradise. Okay, so that's the idea. Make it sense so far? Okay. If you feel like this doesn't make sense, and if you feel like you need to ask a question, please don't hesitate to stop me. So now, the how. This is what you guys are here for. The how. Okay? Does anyone believe that they're smart in any way? I heard some giggles. Okay. So it's always value first, all right? And then we do the how. Okay, so let's find out if you're smart when it comes to setting goals. So when you're going about smart goals, has anyone heard of smart goals before? You have. Cheers. Why are you here? Just don't say anything. Okay. No, it's fine. It's good that you've heard of it, because I think you haven't heard of it in this light, because I believe I'm the only person that's been teaching us this way with these acronyms. So SMART is actually an acronym, and an acronym is right, is more or less like a phrase that you get from like the initial letters of a phrase. Okay, so it's like a shorter like word that you get from the initial letters of a phrase. Okay, so here we have specific. These are 5 reasons why your goals might not be as effective as they could be. So this is you going from 20% of goal success to like 80% or even 90. Okay. This is measurable. Okay. This is adjustable. Kids, have you heard this before? The A being adjustable. Yeah, I knew it because I'm the only person that I know, at least right now, that does that. Okay, there's a reason why. Okay, go on YouTube to find out why. I don't have time to explain today, but anyway, it's fine. And then there's relevant for R. Jesus, is this the R that you know? Or you know a different R? It's a different R. No, I'll explain why it's different. I'll explain why it's different. And then there's time bound. Okay, cheers. Is this what you know so far? For S? Then A, attainable. Okay. Then R, was it realistic? Realistic. Okay. Sweetie, you've heard this before.
Yeah, I do it.
Okay. And then T, time bound. Okay, or timely. Okay. So just for cheers, I was going to say this because I thought no one, everyone might not have heard about this. Okay. And actually, do it. I hope you're writing other notes. Don't change the goals that you wrote. Okay, good. Okay, because otherwise it'd be cheating. Right. So you find that if you search up smart goals on the internet, you'll find different YouTube channels, different contexts of it. So for everything that I found, S is specific, M is measurable. But from here, this is where the trouble, from these two actually, it's different for like a whole lot. I did my own research and there's a reason why I came to this conclusion and this conclusion. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have time to really get into it right now, but I'll send you guys are all in the group. So I'll send you the link to the YouTube channel, the YouTube video that where I break down how I got to there. Okay. So originally, this SMART goals technique was designed by, according to my research, by George T. Doran for companies, specifically managers and companies. So the likes of Anana, Seven, who are in Woodred, who are managing Woodred. Yeah, this would then be for them because it will be for managing people who are in the company. But now we are taking in the context of personal growth. So you can apply this as a manager, you can apply this as an entrepreneur, as an individual, whatever it is that you want. Okay, so this is how we're going about it. Okay, so now to explain. Is specific. This is where people fall into a huge trap. This is where we're saying that you're thinking that your goal is, okay, I want to date this person, but then you're not specific about how you're actually going to go about it. And then when you say that, I want to make money, okay, but then you're not specific about how much money do you actually want to make, okay, because you can make $1. Not the whole year, you can make $1. You've made money. But you're specific about, okay, to what do I... So the idea of being specific, you have to be absolutely crystal clear, okay? So this is speaking to clarity. Be so clear about what you want to achieve that there's no doubts in your mind about the reality that this could be. So it's not about like, we haven't gone into the how yet specifically, how specifically, anyway. But it's about really, I noticed, I'm an artist, guys. So it's about really seeing it in your mind. Paint with your words. You have to paint a clear enough picture of what it is that you want to achieve. So clear that there's no blurred vision about how it is that you're going to, what it is that you want for your own life. Okay. So clarify, in other words, you could say clarify the value. What is it that you really want to achieve? Create a picture with your words. Paint the picture with your words. Like, this is exactly what I want. Okay. And then now measurable. This is one of my favorite. This one, measurable here. This is, I don't need to write down anything there. Measurability is about you being able to track, yeah, here's something to write. Track progress. Track your progress. Have you noticed how when people are doing their races, okay? When people are doing their races, where there's cars, where there's people in athletics, usually if it's like a long distance race, at the beginning, like, cha-cha, and so on. And then it's a long race, what then happens is that people start talking yas and so on. But when you get to that final lap, everyone gets excited. Because now they know, the reason why they get more excited is because they can track the progress by the number of laps. So you know that, okay, this person is this far away from the finish line. Okay, so if you track your progress, even if you, has anyone been in athletics before? Has anyone been in a race before? Okay, you guys haven't been in races. Okay, in school, I'm not saying like right now, even in school. So do you know that feeling where like you get towards the end? Okay, I don't know what's going on there with you. Okay, so you get to the end, and not to the end, but you get close to the finish line. And then you're like so tired. You're like, I've been pushing. And then suddenly there's this thing that comes to you like, let's go, let's go. If you guys that have been in races, have you had that before? It's because you're tracking your progress. There's this excitement that comes with tracking your progress. And the closer you get to your finish line, the more excited you get and the more you want to act, even if you felt like you couldn't act anymore. Does it make sense? That's the idea. So measurability is about tracking the progress. Okay? This is very important because if you're not tracking your progress, you could actually just go in the wilderness. You could think that you're getting closer to your goals, but you're actually moving further away. This is why this is one of my favorite. Let me tell you a funny story. Okay. There's one day when I was at home. This was back in the day when load shedding had just started. And I was by myself at home. So I was like, okay. It's not like nighttime, and I was still like a kid back then. You remember those Nokia phones? Those ones with like a torch. Those ones where you play Snake, the brick Snake and brick games and stuff. The Nokia with the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 2 as the ABC. Chidina. Yeah, remember that? It's back in the day. I had that phone. So I was like, I'm back home now, and there's no light. I was like, let me look for my phone. I was looking for it, right? I thought I'd lost it, but I hadn't. So I was looking for my phone. I went around the whole house for probably I don't know, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, somewhere there. And then I was like, where's this phone? I was like, know what? I feel like composing, because you could compose music on those phones. Like, let me compose a song, because I really can't find my phone. Then I go on it, and I'm like, the same torch that I was using to look for my phone is the torch of the phone that I was looking for. So I had my phone in my hand this whole time. So you see, so I actually had achieved my goal already, but because I didn't have a way to track my progress, then I didn't know if I was moving closer to my goal or further away from my goal. So does that make sense why this thing of tracking your progress actually makes sense, the track and the idea of the phone, okay? Now imagine for people that have like 2 phones, or now we've got like these smartphones, and you lose your phone, right? When you lose your phone, or if you misplace it in the house, what do you do? Generally, what do? You call it, right? And then you get closer to you by listening to the ringing tone, okay? So the louder it gets, the more you know that you're getting closer towards your goal, which is actually just looking for your phone. Does that make sense? I think that's more straightforward example. But when your phone is on silent, or when your phone is off, now it's trouble, okay? So you having your phone on silent and misplacing it is the equivalent of you setting a goal without this mechanism of a way to track your progress, okay? So if it's the idea of, let's say making money, you track the progress, you divide it into 12 sections, okay? You say, January, how much money did I make in January? How much money did I make in February, March, April, all the way until December, okay? Having clarified the amount of money that you actually want to make, being specific. Make sense? What there so far? Now, this one here, this speaks to values. So yes, other people say attainable, other people say achievable, and the reason why they say that is because when they say attainable and achievable, they're talking about, okay, is it realistic? Is it, are you going to be able to achieve this? Okay, is it not just saying that, okay, by the end of today, I should be on the moon? Okay, that's not really what we're talking about. So I do agree with them, but the reason why I say adjustable is because what do they say about values? Values change. And if your values change, that means you have to adjust everything else here. Because if you don't, now you're moving yourself in a loop, and then you're frustrated, you don't feel fulfilled because you're still chasing the toy cars and the airplane remote control things when you're now an adult. That's the idea, okay? So adjustable is just this idea of leave space for you to be able to adjust your goal when necessary, okay? This now also speaks to values. So this is more along the lines of adjustability. Okay, so these are almost like the same. So I would say you go for this one first. Is it relevant? As in, is it relevant to your values? Okay, so you can't say, I know someone who keeps saying that I don't want to get married, I don't want to get married because they've got their own different reasons. But you can't be saying, Okay, I want to now. I don't think I should use that example. It won't really hit. Okay, so the idea is, I was about to go drastic, but otherwise I'll digress if I do that. Okay, so the idea is you check if they're relevant to your values first. Okay, so you can't be saying, can you give me an example of a random goal, random goal, short-term goal that is. Short-term goal, like let's say something that you want to do today. Record. Musicians. Okay.
The camera never
Recording. Okay, record. Okay, so record by, do you mean like record a song? Record a song. Okay. What's the opposite of recording a song? What would be the opposite? not recording a song. Okay, so your goal is to, your value is music. So I'm guessing if you want to record a song, that means your value is music, right? Your value is music. Your value is building your visibility, your social medias, and so on. Okay, and you say, for me to do that, I need to actually record a song. So in measurability, I just need one song. Let's make it 2 songs. Okay, to make it more measurable. Okay, let's make it 2 songs. So you go to the studio. I'm going to use Mulla's studio because I actually experienced this myself. Okay, Mulla's studio. I'm not putting him on blast. I'm just saying that if I had done this, I went there and Seven, if you remember when I wanted to record Legendary. Okay, yeah, I'm talking about this. My channel, so I can talk about the song. Okay, so we wanted to record Legendary. Then we got there and we found Mulla's friends there and they were playing games. I happen to be a huge fan of games. That's my goal, by the way. I'm going to play games to death this holiday. Okay, right. I've got different reasons for that. Okay, it's just to re-energize myself and then get back to my goals 2026. That's the idea. Okay, so let's say you want to record 2 songs. Okay, I'm recording Legendary and something else, and I go there and I'm checking. Okay, my values are I need to record this song for Jag Legacy. Okay, that's my value. So I go there. Is it relevant? What do I need to do that? I need to record a song with Seven. Seven has more musical skills than I do. Okay, so yeah, this makes sense. It's relevant, right? So let's do this. So I get there, and now I'm thinking, okay, I see games. So maybe let me just play games a bit. And then you end up spending the whole day playing games. Now you're distracted. Okay. First, before you get on that joystick, you have to ask yourself, are these joysticks relevant to your values? That's the idea. Okay. If they're not, then adjust it immediately. Remove those joysticks from the equation and then get back to this and that. You see how this is making sense so far? Okay? Yeah, now I've got your attention. People are going like, yes, now it's making sense. Okay? So that's why. So relevant first, and then if it's not relevant, only then do you use this. Otherwise, when you're setting goals, you use mostly these 4, okay? And then relevance will just help you check the values. Then this comes into play as the 5th one, and funny, it's in the middle of all these things. Okay? It's in the middle of all that. Okay? And then if you only adjust this if this is necessary. So procrastination should never be an excuse for you doing this. Because you then adjust after spending the whole day using joysticks, playing Mortal Kombat. Yeah, I feel like playing those games when I talk about them. Okay, so after you do that, the next day you're like, you're checking measurability now. So another thing that people make a mistake of is that they measure their progress by the time they get to the time bound. So by the time you get to your deadline, that's when you want to measure your progress. That's not the idea. You want to have time frames to say, okay, if you're running 8 laps, I'm tracking, okay, how do I do in the first lap? How do I do in the second lap? Okay, I'm in the 3rd lap. So when I get to the 5th lap, that's when I'm going to take off and then beat this guy and then overtake him. That's the idea. You see, you're measuring your progress like that, okay? But then the thing is, people have this frustration. This way I was getting it mixed up. Is that 2025, I would set the goals, and then the whole year, I would not measure them. I'll not check, okay, mid-year, where am I? And then at the end of the year, where am I now? So this should never be measured by the time you get to your deadline, which is time-bound. Which brings us into the next point. Time-bound, straightforward, it speaks to time. This is more like your deadline. Okay? And now before I explain that, let's come back to procrastination. So the reason why people procrastinate is because even if they do this, it's still very possible to procrastinate. The reason why that happens is because when you're thinking about the goal, when you've mapped out the what and the how, specifically the how, you're thinking of all the hard parts about the how. You're not thinking about the end result, which is the value, the what that we're talking about at the beginning. So you find that, including myself, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. Most of the goals that I haven't achieved, Yes, I did procrastinate, but I didn't procrastinate because I procrastinated. I procrastinated because I was focusing on the hard parts that I would need to get through in order to achieve those goals. Okay? Which is why in there I was saying set your intention and then focus on the breadth. Because the breadth is what's going to get you to your value. Focus on your intention, focus on your intention. I was bringing you there, moving you away from this. That's why I said I don't worry about what you're doing. I'm worried about how you're breathing because that's going to get you to your value. As Panache said, I've achieved my intention and that's I could ask for nothing more. That's the idea. Okay. So people usually focus on the hard parts. Like let's say this idea of making money. Imagine making money in Zim. You see, you're nodding. I didn't even say it was hard or not. You see the idea. So the moment people actually don't make money in Zim or in any other country, not because they can't, but because they think it's hard and they're focusing on the hard parts. Yes, there'll be some challenging things about achieving stuff like that. Yes, there'll be challenging things about you asking someone, else out, Seven. Okay. There'll be some challenging things about you asking someone out, but then if you keep focusing on the picture of what is going to be when you're in the relationship with that person, then you can keep being persistent, adjust accordingly, and so on. Right? Then you're no longer focused on how hard it is, because the moment you tell yourself something is hard, it is definitely going to be hard. I can guarantee that. That's why I never say that. That's why if you actually really look at it closely, breathing is not actually 50% of what you guys did in there. But I told you it is. And you know that breathing is easy because you're sitting and breathing. And I told you if you just do that, you've done half of the class already. And guess what? The class that you guys did in there was not the kind of class we give to people that are in yoga for the first time. But you did it. You did it. Okay, so it's actually easy in that for first time people. So that's why I was saying set your intention and all that. Okay? So it's not about procrastination, it's about the energy that you put on in terms of what you want to achieve. So when you focus on, okay, to run the race, I have to get through 8 laps. By the time I get done with 8 laps, then you find yourself, you'll be lagging down and so on. But you're thinking, okay, what is it going to be like when I get that medal for coming top 3, top 5, top 10, whatever it is? What is it going to be like when I'm actually wearing that and photo shoots and I'm with Usain Bolt and stuff like that? What is it going to be like? If you focus on that, even the how might not even matter. Jim Rohn actually says, if your why is strong enough, the how becomes easy. That's the idea. Okay, so it's all about how I see in the mind. Now coming here to deadline. The reason why people set deadlines for goals is that it gives them pressure. For example, in school projects, okay, I hated deadlines. My goodness, I hated deadlines in school because I don't work at my own time. Every time when I did a project, I would work on it probably like the last 2 months of the year. I didn't really like deadlines. But what deadlines do is that they give you the pressure to actually do it. Okay, so if you have a deadline, have you noticed how if you have a project, let's say a 7 gives you guys a deadline to come up with a song, and the deadline is like, let's say 5 days from now. Maybe you might slack off 4 days, like, I can do it. And then you get to the 5th day, like, I have to move. That's where this comes into play. But then just noting something, time bound, something about time doesn't belong to us. Time belongs to God. Okay, so I'm a Christian, so I will talk about this. So the thing with time is that everything is actually good, not in our time, but in God's time. So you find that there are times where you do all of this, but then you still, by the time you get to 2027, you still haven't achieved some of the stuff. Part of the reason is because God wants you to maybe shift your value to something else or maybe change something there because it's actually good in this time. And if you found that sometimes you might set goals and then by the time you actually get to achieve them or it becomes reality, like, oh, I actually wouldn't have changed the way it went. Even though, because my goal when I got into the dance industry, I think Swati might know this, my goal was to have performed in World of Dance and become top in World of Dance. Yeah, I was that ambitious. And then I was like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? And I spent a whole year, and I thought that by the end of the year, I would have done something significant. But that whole year actually helped me because I then discovered Africara Arts Trust. And my guys that knows Africara Arts Trust. And then within the 3 years that I was in Africara Arts Trust, because of the information that they gave us, my values changed. Then I moved from valuing this. I don't know if you guys can see this. To this. This is a B. This is how my values changed. You see, I adjusted it and I adjusted my goal. Then I realized, okay, collaboration. How can I collaborate with dance? Because if I die and I have one world of dance, people are just going to be like, yeah, that guy that wants one world of dance. I took it from the Lit Twins. They won world of dance 2017. Then they, on my radar at least, they're insignificant now. As in like, yeah, they do dance well still, but I'm bored with it, if you get the idea. So like, are people going to be bored with me by the time I come from world of dance? After having done all that, perform for Neo, perform for whoever. It's like, what can I use for dance to really impact other people? That's how I then got into That's how it happened, in case you ever wondered. Okay? So that's the idea. So I'm not going to take it back because I wanted 2018 and 2019 to be the year where I really make an impact, really prove people wrong. But then now my goal has moved to 2034, and it's in the lines of teaching, and it's because I've changed my values from competition to collaboration. And now I know I can do this. This is my what? Collaboration. This is my how? Teaching. Hence why you guys are here. Thank you very much for allowing me to achieve my goal. You see? Right. So that's more or less the idea. So you just have to understand that sometimes it's not really about that you failed, but it might be that God is just trying to tell you that you might need to go in this different direction. Okay? Yeah? So that's the idea. Is it making sense so far? Okay, so you've got specific, clarify what you actually want to achieve. Then you've got measurable, track your progress. Okay, now I'm tracking my progress by every time, a lot of the time I sit down with Shannon and say that, okay, this is what we've done this time. Even if she's not there, come back, give her some feedback. This is what we've done, and so on. And see, collaboration, that's why Shannon is here, because I value collaboration. Okay, and thank you very much for being here, doing the camera work and all that, because I can't do it by myself. And you find that with collaboration, you get to places faster. I'm not saying this is just petty, but I'm saying for me and my values, I wouldn't consider competition. But for someone that's in battles and so on, then yeah, it still makes sense. For you guys, if you have your rap battles, it still makes sense. I'm not minimizing that. Okay? Are we all good here? Is it making sense? Okay? Right. Here we go. Now, we have been doing all this. All this smart, you have to be measurable, you have to be adjustable, it has to be relevant to your values, it has to be time bound, but then sometimes time doesn't work out with that. Ish, Rayne, aren't you giving us too much? Okay, so how about we summarize it? Okay. Eh, okay, just to make sure that we all know what's going on. Okay, so everyone can tell the gender like this, right? My beautiful my beautiful drawings. Okay, so I know there's some people that don't believe in like, oh, marriage, kids, whatever, but let's just pretend. Okay, for the sake of this to work, there's someone that's in here that I need to do this for this to make sense. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it will make sense. Yeah. Okay. This will make sense. Don't worry. Don't worry. Okay, so we're there. All right, all makes sense, right? Okay. So those are the parents, and then in other words, it could be that as well. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. Now I've got your attention. Right. Right. So let's summarize everything that we just learned. The SMART criteria. Okay. So we've got the father, we've got the mom, and we've got the kid. Okay. Whichever version you want to take. Okay. Right. Now what then happens is we replace that with that. We replace that with that. And then we replace this, most importantly. Okay. So in order to summarize everything that we just learned, when you're drafting your goal, what you want to do is that, yes, you use the SMART criteria, the S, the P. So what you do is that you state your value first, right? Whatever your value is. After that, then you come to this blueprint right here. Okay. So you know your value, okay? And then you determine what you need to do to get to this. All right? So that's the first step, okay? This is after you've done the S, the M, the A, and so on. Because if you were saying go, and oh, by the way, another thing along the lines of context, we're talking about goals that really make a huge impact in your life. We're not talking about I want to get home today. It's not the kind of goal we're talking about. We're talking about like 10 years down the line from now, by the end of 2027, those kind of goals where you really feel a difference in your own personal life. Okay? Right. So otherwise, there's no point of doing this, right? To say I'm going to get back home. Okay. Right. So from this, then find out, okay, what do I need to do? How am I going to do it? Okay. And then why do I need to do it? And this always needs to feed into that back here. If it does not, adjustability is necessary. See why I said adjustability on the A? Okay. So if your why does not feed into what your value is, then you're just wasting time and you're going to frustrate yourself. Then you're going to come back to, I've done goals for 2026, and you go to 2027, and it's the same thing. You're repeating those same goals. Okay. And especially if you're not checking if this has changed. And it's okay for your value to change, by the way. It just means that you're growing. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But always be clear on what your value is. If this is not clear, then this doesn't make sense. Okay, now we are back at it again. So this is the part where I take you through the rest of it myself and you're back to just me, right? So we had just talked about the father, the mother, and the child, and replacing that with the what, the how, and the why, okay? And now we're gonna continue with that from where we left. Unfortunately, you won't get to see how we did it with everyone else that was there. I really wish you could, but you know, these are part of the things that were not in our control. So here we are. I'm focusing on things that I do have control over, which is me finishing off the episode this way, right? And if you want to get where I'm coming from with that, go and watch the video that's titled Number One Reason Why You Stay Stressed, and in brackets, how you can escape depression. Okay. All right. And I'll put the link to that in this video. But anyway, moving on. So we had done the what, the how, and the why, because we want to package it into like a smaller kind of thing whereby we can actually then follow. Okay, so instead of like breaking our brains in that it has to be specific, it has to be measurable, it has to be adjustable, it has to be relevant, it has to be time bound. We're thinking of all these things, and now even the process of setting goals becomes more like a frustration, right? So we want to avoid that. I want to summarize everything that we just done. So that's where we're coming to in terms of the what, the how, and the why. Okay, so now we've done that. In other words, what you can actually do is, let me just make sure I'm screen recording this so I can share this screen recording on this video. Okay, there we go. Right, so what you can then say is, I am going to blank space. And then you fill that up, okay? So you actually say to yourself, I am going to fill in that blank space, all right? And then you continue, this is your goal, by blank space. You continue with that, okay? So you do this by etc., etc. You have to write that down for yourself, depending on what your goal is. And then after you filled in that blank space, you finish it with the last blank space. So that blank space. Okay, so now we summarize all this specific, measurable, adjustable, relevant, time-bound, almost more or less in like one sentence. And mind you, you don't really have to tick all the things that are in the SMART criteria. The specific, the measurable, the adjustable. Some of the things you find that you might not really have, but I would encourage you to at least get the specific and measurable done, okay? And then adjust only when necessary. Okay, so we say, I am going to. All right, so this is us coming back to the father, the mother, and the child. So if you see this, it says, I am going to. This speaks to your what? Okay. Okay, so what exactly needs to be done for you to get to your value? Remember I said goals are a derivative of your values. Okay, so in order for you to get to the thing that you value, what is it that I need to do? And you have to be really clear about that. So this what also kind of speaks to specificity. And then by, this is your how. How are you going to do this? By A, B, C, D, right? So be clear about that as well. And then I think this is also where measurability could then fall into place. Okay, you measure this by, so you're doing this by doing A, B, C, D, which is going to allow you to measure your progress, to track your progress. So that's the how. And then you've got the why, so that, very important, not the most important. Why are you doing this? So you say so that I'm doing this so that A, B, C, D, and you basically tagging that back to your values. Remember, like that picture, the child that speaks back to the value. So the reason why the why is the child, we actually didn't discuss this in the workshop because we're pushed for time. But we made the child the why because the child is the future. You know how we say the future generation, and we're looking at the young ones. Okay, so the reason why you're working on your goal is because you're working towards a certain value. All right. So you're looking at the future, which is why there's the father, there's the mother, that's the what and the how. And then they then nurture this child, and then they then determine the directions in which this child is supposed to go. And then that child eventually comes out to be a certain kind of characteristic, a certain kind of personality based on how they were raised. Okay, so that's the idea, right? So that's why the why is a child. Okay, so it's speaking to the future. So what is it? So when you're setting your goal, your value is to a child. But when you get to your value, and your value now becomes a reality, now your child is more like an adult. That's the idea. You're nurturing by taking action towards your value. You're actually grooming and nurturing this child and raising this child, which is your value. That's the whole idea. Okay. So you say, I am going to blank space, by blank space, so that blank space. And you find that this is an easy thing to stick up if you're that kind of person that wants to write down a goal and then stick it up on your door so that every time you walk out you see it, and then you remind yourself of what you're working towards, why you're waking up every day, why you're making your towel wet every day, every morning, where you're going to, what is it that you're doing. Instead of taking the time to write S, M, A, R, T, all that. Yes, you do that at the beginning, but then now when you want to summarize, you just use this blueprint, this I am going to buy so that. And then you find that's actually easier to read. Now you can read a sentence to yourself. And then once you've read that sentence, because you had done the work before, which is the smart, your mind is actually going to play all those things in the subconscious. Then as you go about your day, your subconscious is going to program you to actually be aware of that, what it is that you need to do, from specificity to measurability to adjustability to relevance and to being time bound. So that's the idea. Okay, that's easy to look at than saying specific, I need to do this, measurable, I need to do this. That will just probably just drain you, if anything. Okay, so we don't want to make this whole thing an overcomplication. We also want to simplify it. And now, if you remember what I was talking about at the beginning when we were still at the workshop, we were saying we were talking about the Christmas box, okay, the gift box or the gift bag, whatever it is that you want to call it. The SMART criteria, SMART, those are the contents that you put in the gift bag. So those are the contents that I'm putting in your gift bag. The gift bag now is that I am going to blank space by blank space, so that this idea of what, how, why, this is the gift bag. Okay, so you see how it makes sense? When you open up the gift bags, then you got the specific, the SMART, the specific, the measurable, the adjustable, the relevance, and the time bound. That's the idea. Okay, now let's cancel all this. Okay, no, that's not how you cancel. Okay, so in the workshop, which is the part that I really wanted you to get to differentiate this video completely from the first video that I did. At the workshop, we had someone come up, our dear volunteer, Seven, and he came up and he shared his goal with us, all right? And then we then helped him as a group to meet all those things. So the contents of it, which is this smart calls. So what he said, okay, is that he wants to take over the music industry, or 4 genres of the music industry in Zim. Okay, so he had set his goals for Hoodrat, which is his music group or company, right? So yes, I said this is the context of personal growth, but this kind of applies to him as well. Mind you, remember I said, I said in the workshop, George T. Duran actually designed this for managers, which would be very applicable to Seven, because he's playing more of an admin and managerial role in Hoodrat. Okay, he's the one that determines what's supposed to happen, how it's supposed to move, and so on. But then this also ties to his own career as well. All right. So in a way, it actually grows him directly if it grows his company. Okay. So yes, in that regard, it still aligns to personal growth. Okay, for him. Okay, in the long run. Okay, but anyway, for the sake of moving on, so he had said that his goal, one of his 3 goals, we just focused on the first one, and that was to take over 4 genres of the music industry by July 2026. Okay, so we said, okay, does this meet the SMART criteria? How is this specific? Is it specific? Yeah, it's specific. He said 4 genres, right? And this is something that I had actually missed myself, but then someone else also contributed to this, and she said, okay, what genres do you want to take over? Let's be specific about that. All right. So we encouraged him to be specific about which genres he wants to take. Otherwise, he's going to tackle 10 different genres, and then he's going to be like all scattered and so on. But if he narrows it down to, okay, these specific genres, could be like, let's say, for example, hip hop, amapiano, Afro, I don't know, reggae. I'm not saying that's what he said he's going for, but for argument's sake. Right. So we encouraged him. So he just redesigned this slightly so that you determine what exactly are these for. All right. And then he can then summarize it by saying, for when he uses the what, how, why, then he can then say 4 genres. But at least in the 4 genres within the SMART, when he opens up the gift bag, he knows specifically which genres those 4 are. That's the idea. Okay. So another thing that I had a problem with is that he had said take over the 4 genres. Okay. So I said, this is still vague. Let's be more specific about this. All right. What does taking over actually mean for you? Okay, I'm meaning 7. Okay, what is taking over meaning for you? What does it look like for you to actually say you've taken over these 4 genres? Do you have to win awards? Do you have to appear in the top 10 of the charts and the music in those genres? What is it? He has to specify what it then means for him to have taken over. This is when he opens up the gift bag, right? And then when he closes it, and then it's now the Christmas box. Okay, then he can then be at liberty to say, okay, take over. But at least if he has clarified and specified what taking over means, that means if he just looks at the phrase take over, he knows in his mind what it actually means. The mind then unpacks that gift box to say, this is what we mean. Okay, so now it's specific. That's done. Measurable. Okay, so let's just say, for argument's sake, he said July, right? July 2026, and from now until July, let's say there's about 6 months. Let's say his July is actually the 1st of July. So we're not counting the month of July. We're just saying that by the time July begins, he's supposed to have done this, or Hoodrat is supposed to have done this. Hoodrat is the name of his company and music group, if I hadn't mentioned that before. Okay, so why am I doing this? Let's cancel that for now. So measurability, we were saying that, okay, fine. How are you going to measure this? And then we had some people saying that, okay, we're going to measure this by saying, okay, by the time we get to July, have we actually achieved this? And I said, no, that's not how you do it. When you measure, you don't wait until you get to the time bound. Okay. Sorry. You don't wait until you get to the time bound for you to actually have checked if it's measurable. So what you do is, okay, you measure as time goes. You don't wait until your deadline to measure, because you find that you'll be frustrated by the time you get there. And you find that when you want to measure when it's time for your deadline, you might see that there's so much that you haven't done. Now you working under pressure and so on. So you measure as you go. Okay, so let's say you said 4 genres, right? And there's 6 months. 6 divided by 4 is like 1.5. So you take a month and a half. Okay, so you take a month and a half for one genre. They spend a month and a half working on that one genre. Then the next month and a half, you work in the next genre. The third month and a half, work on the third genre, and yeah, until you get to the fourth one. But even as you work for the 1.5, okay, you don't wait until the end of the 1.5 to see how you're doing. You bring it back a bit in terms of time. So you work, let's say for example, you work for a month, all right, towards this, and then you see that, okay, by the time we get to a month, is there anything that we need to change? Okay, maybe we haven't gotten to this whole idea of topping the charts or winning medals. What is it that we need to do? What do we need to adjust in order to get there? Because obviously we haven't gotten there yet. Then you see, okay, maybe we need to change. Maybe the artist have to flip it over. Maybe the person that did the chorus has to do the verse, and or we need to have more people doing the chorus or whatever it is. He knows the technical parts of the music, and if you're a musician, you will kind of understand more of what I'm talking about. Okay, so that's how you then measure. Okay, you say, okay, for that to be done, we'll need to do this by a certain date or deadline. Okay, a deadline within the deadline. So you find that you divide this T. For in this case, it divides it into 4. All right, so that by the time he gets to the official deadline, he has made progress instead of waiting until the deadline. Okay, so if he does that, then we've got this measurability aspect. Okay, right, and then now adjustability. So this, you don't really set it. You rather you use it when it's necessary. Okay, so you don't say adjustable, because if you start mapping out your goal by adjusting it, then you're setting yourself up for doom, obviously. Okay, so you only use this when necessary. For example, when you're coming back to measurability, you say, okay, you're measuring to say, by the end of the month, have we done this? If we haven't, then one needs to be adjusted. If we haven't topped the charts yet, then you use that. Okay, so all you're doing is just leaving room for that. And do you see what we did? Instead of saying you wait for a month and a half, we say, okay, let's do it in a month and see how we do. And then if we need to adjust it, then we use the half a month that was remaining to use this. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, so you only leave room for adjustability. That's the idea. Okay, so now it's adjustable. Relevant is speaking to its values, which are music. Okay, all right, so he always has to check. Okay, every time when he's doing his measurability, he always has to check if this aligns. So these are kind of like related, right? Let's do that. So you always need to check, does this goal still align with my values? Because you may never know. Maybe by the time we get to July, he doesn't really value music anymore. Or maybe Hudra doesn't really value music anymore. Maybe they're now valuing skits, entertainment, acting, and the like. So now he needs to readjust his goals so that the medals are going more towards acting awards and so on. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but in case values for Hudra change, then that's what he then needs to do. Okay? So that's the idea. Oops, I cancelled out my R, my A, I mean. Okay, so they always need to be checking whether it's relevant. So that's fine, okay? And then the T, which is the time bound, he did say this 6th of July, but then we also broke it down. This, in the same way that measurability is related to the R, measurability is also related to time, okay? So that's the idea, right? So we already talked about the time when we talk about measurability. You split the time. So when you're doing measurability, what you do is you divide the time. Okay, the time, when you set up in the SMART method, what you actually do is you set a deadline, but then when you're now looking at measurability, you then divide the time within that deadline. That's what you want to do. And just like that, he's got all the contents in the gift bag. So that's the idea. All right. And then, yeah, he had set the goals in a different way, but also just coming back to make sure that we're all on the same page. We said that goals are a derivative of your values. So what you do is you clarify what your value is first before you start setting the goal. And as we're doing our wrapping up and our feedback and reviews at the end, my good friend Sweti actually said that he likes the way that it's not really like about a wish list, but it's about goals are like the how, just like how you're going to get to where you want to, how you're going to get to your values. So I actually said, yeah, so we've got all this done now. So I very much agree with that. So what we're doing is we've got the value is your destination. Okay, then you've got your goal. And your goal is more like your action step or steps. And then your goal is more or less like the route or the journey that you use. Okay, so you start there. Okay, sorry. And then you come to here. Okay, so obviously I had asked, I hadn't explained the whole idea of how you actually set your goals first. So Seven had actually just done it the way he believes it should be done. But what we then encourage is that you set your value first. Okay, so his value, we clarify that his value is in music. All right, so that's fine. So we're deriving his goals from that. That's what actually inspired him to take the action to set the goals and then to then act. So yeah, you set your value first and then you start mapping out your goal. And when you do the goal, you do the SMART first. Okay, so you use the SMART method. Yeah, sorry, I'm kind of squeezing my writing now. Okay, so yeah, use the SMART. You check the SMART, all these letters, and see how they feed back into your value. So also using the R mostly. So you're checking if all these things are relevant to your value. Okay. Once you've done that, you then summarize it by doing, let's just call it family, the if. Okay. This is from that. Okay. So it's values first. Okay. Right over here. And then you set your goals. And then you use your SMART. And then you summarize it by the what, the how, the why. And that's how you then do it. This, if you do this, you will set yourself up more likely for success. Okay, there's higher chances of you succeeding if you just do this. So with Seven, we didn't really get to do the what, the how, and the why. I've left that for him to do with his team. But yeah, this is the idea. Okay, so you can take inspiration from there, from using his goal as an example. And I didn't do this by myself, by the way, so I give credit to the audience that was there with us earlier this morning. So you do that, and you should really be able to succeed. You go from about 20% of goal success to like about 80%, some cases even 90%, and best cases even 100%. Okay. And then another thing that I encouraged him is, because I asked him, okay, so in terms of time, from what time to what time are you going to go by? And he said, I'm going to start 1st of January 2026. Guess what I said to him? No, don't do that. Okay? So don't do that, because otherwise you're setting yourself up again for a more likelihood of not succeeding. What you do is rather you start. Okay, start now. So I told him, no, don't wait for it. Start right now. Because if you start now, you actually give yourself a head start. And because you're excited about the value right now, you know, when you set your goal, you can see, especially if you use this method, you can see how it's going to be when you achieve that goal. And you got some level of excitement. But then if you put that on hold, then you wait until the 1st of January, which is something that I was doing wrong. You wait until the 1st of January. Okay, by the time you get to the 1st of January, you don't have that much excitement. So you lose momentum with each passing day. Today is the 6th of December. We've got about 25 more days until we get to the 1st of January. Imagine all those 3 weeks of doing something else that's not related to Hoodrat. By the time it gets to the 1st of January, it's going to lose momentum. I'm not saying that even by Christmas, you should still be working. Obviously, in December, we want to rest. But start acting, he has to do some kind of work right now. That will then give him a head start. Then you find out what was supposed to take him a month. That first month from the 1st of January will probably take him like 2 weeks because he really got himself a head start. Okay, and because of the whole measurability thing, remember when I was talking about the running, the track, okay, and you get more excited as you get closer to that finish line, it actually increases his excitement because he gave himself a head start. So let's say he works on it in the first 2 weeks of December from now. So This is no longer the first 2 weeks. This will be the second 2 weeks. What am I saying? This will now be the second and the third week of December. So he then uses those weeks to make progress. Speaking to M, measurability. Okay. And as he does that, you see, actually, this is actually getting better. I like the music. This may be where we need to adjust before we get into next year. Before we continue, we need to then adjust it. I'm not really feeling this chorus. I'm not really feeling this verse. I don't think it really hit. And maybe he plays some of those songs to his inner circles to say, what did you guys think about this music? What do we need to adjust for this kind of music to top the charts? Okay. So he doesn't need to wait until the 1st of January. And because he's done that, and then he adjusts them, the music, according to what's necessary, then you'll see, this is actually exciting. This is getting real. Now I'm starting to feel this. Then when it gets to January, he has a bit more excitement instead of just setting the goal and then waiting until the 1st of January. Okay, so you have to start now. In yoga, there's something that we talk about, which are the 3 themes of yoga. Okay, 3TY. 3 themes of yoga. The first one being, I don't have much time left. So first one being be a yes. Okay. Second one being drop what you must. And then third one being come from your ready now. Actually, these 2 kind of swap over. I swap them over myself for the context of this. Okay. So it's usually be a yes, come from your ready now, and drop what you must. In my understanding of that, there's people that have different understandings of this. So be a yes is you're saying yes to your goal so much that you want to act now. You're really embodying. You're not just thinking about your value and what you want to achieve. You are embodying that value. You're imagining it's happening right now. You've already accomplished all these things that you want to accomplish. Okay, so you're being a yes. But now there's the law of polarity. Law of polarity. I'm just summarizing now. Okay, LP. The law of polarity, I think it's the law of polarity because it's different laws, Newton's laws, where it states that for every action, there's an equal and an opposite reaction. Okay, which means that for every light, there's darkness, for every up, there's down, for every left, there's right, and etc. Okay, so if he says yes, if he's saying yes to this call, that means he has to say no to something. Okay, so there's a yes to something, but yes is incomplete without the no, so he has to say no to something else. Yeah, I gave an example of this day where I went to record a song, or I went with Seven himself actually to record a song that he was doing for me. And when he got to the producer's place, we found his friends there, the producer's friends, and they were playing games like joysticks. Now, I happen to be a fan of games, right? Like I'm not sure if I talked about this in the workshop video, as in the stuff that we managed to capture on camera. But I'm there, and they're like, do you want to play some games while we set up the studio? While Mullah sets up the studio. Okay, the producer's name is Mullah. And I was like, I want to, but I have to say no because I really want to be focused on what it is that I have to do right now. Because I know for myself, I love games so much that if I start playing those games, I'm going to be so distracted that I'm not going to want to do the song anymore. So I still want to be in the character. I want to say yes so much that I'm willing to say no to something that's for later. Yes, I will play games probably this holiday, and I was telling the audience today that I'm going to play games as a way to just refresh because I've already set my goals and I know I'm already tackling some of these things right now. But right now I have to say no. So the no to playing games. So the same way that on that day I said no, thank you, but no thank you. I have to focus on getting this music done and be in the mood. So this no speaks to dropping what you must. Okay, so that's then be a yes, right? And then you say no by dropping what you must. I dropped my desire to get on that joystick. Okay, and then you come from your ready now. Okay, come from the idea of being ready now. Because what Seven was doing, which I was also doing over the past few years, is saying, let me wait until next year. Let me wait until the 1st of January. Then I can really go hard. 2026, I'm going to go really hard. Guess what? I was actually about to fall into that trap. Okay, so I did this workshop today, the Saturday, the 6th of December, because one of my goals is to impact people reach a wider audience and to impact a wider number of people, a larger number of people, by hosting 5 to 10, if not more, workshops, okay, throughout 2026, so that people will be more aware of my brand, and then we can take my personal brand to where I want it to be. I want to get into the details of that, right? So I was like, okay, for me to do that, I'll start in January. But then guess what? I asked myself, do I really need to wait until January? So I said to myself, no, let me start right now, which is why I'm doing this video and that workshop. Okay. And yeah, here we are. So now it means I'm getting more excited because I'm seeing, I've got the feedback. I wish you guys could see the feedback. We didn't capture it on camera, but from the feedback, I got more excited. I was like, okay, this is worth doing. So by the time I get to 2026, I'm going to have more momentum. It's not just about starting from scratch. So now guess what? On top of that, I've got 9 more workshops to go, right? So I've already done something and I'm getting excited about it. Okay. And speaking to, just a side note, speaking to adjustability, okay, we didn't capture those moments of those reviews that I was talking about, but I can adjust it. So because I told them I'm going to send them a video of that workshop and a video to how I got to the A being adjustable and etc., so that they can watch more on that. Then we can really unpack it because we didn't have enough time today. But unfortunately, we didn't get or everything that we wanted to get today. So I adjusted it, okay, because I thought we were just going to be recording one video. So I adjusted it. Now I have to do 2 videos, and then I'll put them together into one. You see, I adjusted it, but I'm still going to achieve my goal of getting this video done and sending it to them and to you. If you're watching this on YouTube, that means, well, I've done what I set myself out to do. Okay, so you can help me measure that. Okay, so that's the idea. BAS, come from your ready now, not tomorrow, not on the 1st of January, now. So if you're watching this video, and we're aiming to actually post it as soon as possible. Like once I'm done recording this, I'm editing it, and then we're going to post it. It should come out on the 7th of December, which is tomorrow. Okay, so if you're watching this before the 1st of January, that's very good. And if you're watching this before Christmas, all the better. If you're watching this before Unity Day, all the better, right? So that when you watch this video, you set your goals for 2026 right now. Don't wait until the 1st of January. If you're watching this after the 1st of January, then you're still fine. Okay, just like I did in the previous video, I gave a challenge whereby within 24 hours of the end of this video, you should have set your goal, and a goal that makes a huge impact on you. I'm not talking about a goal like an example that I used in the previous video where I was talking about my goal was just to get home. That was just to give an example. Okay, but I'm talking about goals that really move the needle in your favor. We're talking 10 years from now, or even like by the end of 2026, or by the end of whatever the next year is, depending on what time it is that you're watching this video, or what year it is that you're watching the video. Okay, so without further ado, that is everything that we're covering today. All right, and I hope you found this helpful. And if you would like to be a part of those kinds of workshops next year in 2026, or even years after, I think I'll put a link that you can use to get in touch with me, or someone that you can contact to get through to me in case I'm occupied with something else. And that way you can be a part of those workshops as well. Otherwise, like I said, this is my Christmas gift to you, because I've got a whole lot of intellectual property. Okay, so my gift bag to you is the what, the how, the why, and within that gift bag, you've got your SMART goals, or your SMART blueprint for setting goals to increase the likelihood of you succeeding and making a difference, a huge difference in your own personal life for the sake of your own personal growth, and personal growth that does not negatively impact another person. Okay, I'm Rayne Jaggrevade, and I thank you so much for watching, and I congratulate you for taking this time to take yourself seriously. See you in the next video. X-Ray out.